I would go so far as to say that they are as important for my performance as the actual training. Whoa, now that is a pretty bold statement, and it's about nutrition, by the way, but we're going to get to that later. But as a runner, the purchase possibilities are endless. There's so much you can buy that could impact your performance. Could being the appropriate word, because we've made a lot of running purchases over the last 5 years with varying impact. So why don't we save you a bunch of time and tell you what our top purchases have been in 2024, and we're even going to put them in value for money order, with number one being something we would be lost without. Ah, that's more like it. Where I rightfully belong, at home, living life like a hermit. So let's kick this thing off, right? And in at number 8, bang for buck, mediocre, functionality and potential quite high, UltraHuman Ring. Now, this is the competitor to the Oura Ring, and I'm going to be completely upfront and honest with you right now. They sent this to me. UltraHuman reached out to Mary and myself and said, do you want to try this out? But there was no strings attached, no stipulations. We didn't have to do a review. We didn't have to do anything, but I've always wanted one of these. So I said, yeah, send it to me. But I can guarantee you, completely impartial, what I'm about to talk about. Now, why is the UltraHuman Ring really great? Well, for a lot of reasons actually, but I wanted to standardise and look into all of the things around my training that I could control and monitor and track to make sure the training's on the right path and that I'm doing all of the right things. This little baby here tracks sleep, tracks your heart rate variability, tracks your heart rate, tracks your steps, tracks your body temperature. It does quite a lot of things that allow me to then just monitor how I'm doing. If I have a bad night's sleep, maybe I go to sleep a little bit earlier the night after. If my heart rate variability is outside of my normal range, perhaps that's trying to tell me that I should dial back training or that I might be coming down with illness. It is helping me get a better picture overall of my life and how that bleeds into my training. And for the cost of $349 US, I feel like it's worth the investment, because if you were to buy an Oura Ring, you'd pay about that much up front, and then there is a subscription every month, which admittedly is not a lot, but I think it's about £7.99 British pounds, which would still be nearly 100 quid over the year on top of this every year. So in at number 8, UltraHuman Ring just keeps all of my metrics, measurables on track to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my training. In at number 7, but to be honest, depending on how effective it is, it could be way higher. But testing has to be in here, because in the previous video on this subject a couple of years ago, I talked about the importance of a run analysis, which is about 130 quid or $160. But I want to broaden that out a bit. On top of that, over the last couple of years, Mary and I have had our lactate threshold tested so that we can accurately dial in more intense sessions. I've had physio assessment a couple of times, and we've recently had our leg strength and balance tested, all part of our process to ensure pain-free and high-quality training. Yes, some of it's pricey, around 100 quid or $130 for the lactate threshold testing, but for us, it's about distribution of the funds we have available. What's our passion? Running. So the majority of our funds should be distributed in that direction. I don't drink anymore because alcohol was a money pit. Clearly, as you've seen, shopping centres bring me out in hives. So while testing is at number 7, in this list it could equally be much higher, especially if you've gained a lot from what you learn. Well worth the money for me. Coming in 6th place, and this is the only point that we talked about in the last video. It's the only replication, but for a very good reason. Coming in 6th place is race entries, and the reason it's not higher is because Boston and Chicago have cost us an arm and a leg. Let me explain overall our thinking though. We're just at the end of a monster session. We just did 2 kilometers warm up, 3 kilometers at marathon pace, and then 10 lots of 800 meters at lactate threshold. It was disgusting.
It was so tough.
But the reason we thought we'd make this point on this particular run is because for us, it's really lovely training. We love all this, we love this process, but it's also really nice to have an end product.
Yeah.
And it gives us purpose, it keeps us accountable, it keeps us disciplined. We've got Chicago in 10 weeks. So it would be fair to say that race entries for us are the joy end product, but we also find joy in the process, right?
Yeah, Yeah, we're going at the pricey end of race entries, but they don't have to be. Some of the best races I've done, the most fun I've had, are local races that cost 20 or 30 quid to enter. And it's just an amazing opportunity to put yourself out there, give it a good go and have a great time in the process.
And if you're into this kind of thing, to get a lovely medal most of the time as well.
Yeah. And a nice t-shirt.
And a nice t-shirt. And good memories. If you're YouTubers that make videos about races, some nice memories as well.
Yeah.
Now in the last video, we talked about strength and conditioning gear, and that was in my top 8. This time round, this year, I found as much benefit in recovery gear. So in at number 5, because to be honest with you, you can pick up some of these items for super cheap. We're talking about the spiky ball that has helped kind of solve my Achilles tendonitis a little bit, ease out my plantar fascia. That's 5 quid. It's just over $6. And if you ever want to really go deeply medieval, then you need to pick one of these up because they are brutally painful if you put them in the right place. Your bum bum. Or a grid foam roller. The science behind it is to ease up and loosen the fascia. So a good grid foam I've found, especially when you have tight muscles, really beneficial, certainly the next day. And they're about 40 quid, which is $50, but you can pick them up for way cheaper. Totally worth it. Or what about compression leggings? Sometimes I like to just put them on after a long race, or certainly if I'm about to fly somewhere after a long race. They're gonna cost you anywhere between 50 quid, which is $65, to 100 quid, which is $127. So again, those ones are on the pricier end, but if you factor in maybe the spiky ball being on the lower end, I think they sit rightfully at about 5 out of 10 for what they can potentially do to you, your recovery, your training and your running. In the video a couple of years ago, we talked about storage solutions in terms of the flip belt, and while we still use and we love ours, we also need to find a space in our training and racing for a hydration or race vest. So in at number 4 is our Solomon Active Skins. I've got the 12 litres and Mary's got the 8 litres, and the benefit to our trail racing absolutely goes without saying. In fact, in many races over 30 kilometres, you're not even allowed to start without one. The storage capacity is ample, the fact that you can take your nutrition and hydration with you, the benefits are obvious. But here's where I think they've provided us the most value. Our training. You see, even when training for road marathons, where we don't intend on wearing a race vest on the day, we'll wear them on our long runs in training. The thinking's pretty simple. To get the best quality out of our long runs, you need to make sure that hydration and nutrition are on point. And whilst some of our long runs are on a looped course where we can leave drink and gels in a central spot and come back to them, it's not always possible. So when we're on holiday or away from familiar territory, we want to be able to have drinks, gels and snacks on hand. So for between 100 to 200 quid, which is about $130 to $260, these things are well worth the money. Sessions that go badly are often due to hydration or nutrition issues, but here we've got the solution, and that's why I think they deserve to be at number 4 in our list. And in at number 3, and this is in here because bang for your buck, yes. Affects my life, yes, positively. Affects my training, yes, positively. Affects my racing, yes, positively. That is either an Audible subscription for audiobooks or actually just buying books. Can I just be weird a second? Does anybody else like sniffing new books? Just me. Okay, well they do smell nice. You should try it. So books are a place where I go to enhance my knowledge and be inspired. And the amount of books that I've read on running, but not just running, life and personal development, I can genuinely say have been responsible for so many videos that I make, but have been responsible for this whole YouTube journey. Without books, I don't know where I would be. Because an Audible subscription is like $7.99. That's actually cheaper than buying a book. But if you want to just go with a good old book, still not gonna be expensive. It's not much. It has to be top 3, can absolutely inspire you. And again, put your favourite books in the comments. Let everybody know which books have inspired you to be a better runner or a better person. I'll put mine in the description to this video. Oh, it's getting close now. We're at number 2, and again, I think this is bang for buck and affects my training and racing, maybe just not necessarily life. And that is a good pair of socks. We've been on the hunt for a lot of years to find the perfect socks for us, the ones that work best for us when we train. Now, you have to bear in mind when I'm telling you this, we now live in Thailand, so we have to find a very specific type of sock, which can't be thick and woolly and make our feet warm, because I don't want to feel like I'm boiling from the feet upwards. But the socks we found, and we did use them in the UK as well, are Compress Sport. Now, Mary prefers just the ankle height ones, I prefer the mid-length or the full length. But the reason that I love these socks is because I don't get blisters. They wick away the sweat and dry quickly. I have gone through numerous races with absolutely zero problems using these socks, because the Compress Sport ones, they hug your feet really tight, so there's not very much room to move or wiggle or give you blisters. And considering they come in at about 15 quid, that's not too bad for something that is going to see you through a marathon. That's about $19. And we worked our way. Balaga are great socks, Kalenji great socks. They're just too thick for us, so by all means look into those, but a good pair of socks is a lifesaver.
And number one, in terms of bang for buck, how it impacts our training and our lives, is the correct gels, the correct hydration. And it's been a bit of a process, hasn't it, finding the right stuff for us. We spent a lot of time over here in Thailand experimenting with gels, and what we realized is maybe in the last couple of marathons they didn't quite hit the mark. We felt like we bonked, didn't get it right, so we've invested some time in terms of research and some money in terms of getting the best gels out there, and we've come up with both Cis Beta Fuel, which is 40 grams of carbs in each gel, and also Morton, 25 grams. Both absolutely banging gels. You really feel the difference as you take them, right?
Yeah, so we're just training our body to get used to them and also get the most out of our training sessions.
Absolutely, and it doesn't have to be those two gels for you. What I suppose the point is, find a gel. It doesn't matter what it costs. I mean, these are quite pricey. The Mortons are about £2.80 per gel. It's about $3. These are a little bit less expensive, about £1.50, which is $1.80 per gel.
Wow.
But we're investing in a good performance. The thing is with gels, the thing is with getting your hydration right, is you could train, you could have the best training block possible. You might not be able to bring it out on the day if you don't have the right gels, have the right gel strategy and the right hydration strategy, right? These, I would say, pound for pound, are as important to us as the actual running training is, right?
Yeah.
Let me know what you thought, whether you disagree or agree, or what your opinions is on the purchases you've made, and hopefully this has done enough to convince you to subscribe to the channel. And if you like the video, you're definitely going to like this one, which was my top purchases of last year, different 8. See you Sunday.